centuries, our families fought together against their common enemy. Despite their differences, despite their suspicions, we need to do the same if we're gonna survive. Because the enemy is real. It's always been real.
Game of Thrones.
Hey everybody, we're almost there. New Game of Thrones International trailer, let's break it down. I was expecting more promos to drop before the season got here, but not something like this. This is actually from Greece, so that's why it has these subtitles. But there is a new round of the giveaway. I'll explain at the end of the video. If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to get everything because we're going to be doing episodes starting next week. It's largely some of the same ideas, but with different footage. So you see Daenerys entering Dragonstone down here at the base, walking through. It looks like this continuous shot of her walking straight to the throne room. You see a much more well-lit shot of her staring at Stannis' banner and tearing it down. So not everything at Game of Thrones looked like it's filmed at the dead of night. That's one of the only complaints, that unless you watch it in the highest quality possible, there are some scenes when they filmed it at night or around firelight, it's almost impossible to make out what's going on. So there are actually a couple of details in this trailer that are much clearer than in the previous version of the trailer that HBO dropped. But you get that same Jon Snow voiceover about the enemy being real, how they need to come together, put aside their ancient enmities, and you get a much better look at the ring of Jon Snow's party that are circled up here, looking like they're getting ready to be overtaken by the White Walkers. So there've been a lot of theories about Gendry showing up in that storyline, a lot of rumors, but there's actually one character here. You see all these swords sticking out around. There's one character that has a warhammer. So it doesn't necessarily confirm Gendry, you can't make his face out, but this is what Robert's classic warhammer looked like that he used during Robert's Rebellion. This looks exactly like the warhammer that this person is holding here, so I think that's the metaphor that they're going for. The son of Robert Baratheon wielding the weapon of Robert Baratheon. Although this could be newly forged, it's always possible too that Gendry forged it himself, if it is him. But episode 2 is titled Stormborn. That's mostly referring to Daenerys because she's called Daenerys Stormborn because she was born during a storm at Dragonstone. But the ancestral home of the Baratheons has been Storm's End, so you could say that Gendry is also Stormborn, so that could be a subtle wink to him. People just think that the episode titles tend to favor Daenerys because it starts with Dragonstone, then Stormborn, then Queen's Justice, even though that's a bit more ambiguous because it's also talking about Queen Cersei. But you get a brand new shot of Sansa at Winterfell with her hood on. Then you see Cersei walking into her big map room. They're still constructing it in all the shots that we've seen so far. Like you see little pieces of it as the person's drawing it. There's been some cool behind the scenes of that. It looks like it's from the first or second episode when she looks to take Westeros. The actress Lena Headey has said some really funny things about her character too, or depending on how you look at it, she tends to laugh a lot about how terrible Cersei's going to be this season, like she's going to be this awful person to everyone around her, including Jaime. She said that at least at the beginning of the season, Jaime is hopelessly devoted to her, and Cersei treats him like an emotional vampire would. She's just using everyone around her. So episode 3, Queen's Justice, in the description it talked about Jaime realizing mistakes that he's made. That makes it a little more clear that that's also referring to mistakes that he's made with Cersei, maybe believing in her too much. But I love the way they mirror this Cersei shot, with Tyrion in Daenerys' throne room and his eyes sort of dark to the side like he's really nervous about somebody that just walked in. Maybe this is a shot from when Jon Snow shows up, because there's another shot of people entering, but it still seems like people from Daenerys' own camp. Like this doesn't look like Jon Snow or anybody from the north. You don't walk around in the dead of winter like you're headed to the beach. But then you get a better shot of Jaime at what looks like Highgarden. It's just hard to tell from the stonework in the castle behind him here. But Highgarden just seems like one of the big victories that the Lannisters are going to have, and it seems like they're rolling in full force here. A slightly better shot of Jon Snow drawing his sword in haste, looking like something is getting ready to charge him down. But then you see this big wide open shot here with his band slowly marching in the background. You can see them really tiny in frame here. This doesn't look like the Lands of Always Winter, but it does look like they're much further north of the wall than they've been before, like somewhere maybe in this open region here. There's that same shot of Drogon riding over the field, but this looks a little more linear because you see these Lannister soldiers here bracing like something's getting ready to charge them, like the Dothraki are getting ready to run them down while Drogon is riding up here. So I did like the way they cut this trailer a little bit better. You see Theon kneeling down on the beach, and then you see all these shots from the north with the Night King and the army of the dead, and Bran warging all these ravens with the Night King just turning his head, but you get much more drawn out versions of those shots that you've seen in previous trailers. So I love that the Night King just casually turns his head and looks at the camera, like he's watching us watch him as if we're the eyes of Bran. And like I said, because this is a much higher quality version of the previous footage that we've seen, you can now tell 100% that this person standing next to Bran in the Heart Tree in the Winterfell Godswood is not Davos, so it's just the maester that was left over from when the Boltons controlled Winterfell from last season. Otherwise, it's mostly just the same footage. There have been a couple more interviews that have dropped. I know you're all very skeptical about some of the things actors have been saying, especially about the conflict in the north and the revolt. Most of that seems like it's going to be wrapped up in the first couple of episodes, even though the way the actors like Sophie Turner and Aidan Gillen make it sound like that's going to be a much bigger conflict. When you think about previous seasons, even though their storyline seems very significant, it actually doesn't encompass that much time. And when you think about all the big plot points that we have to hit Army of the Dead, Daenerys Alliance, dealing with Cersei in the south, and then Bran sort of getting everybody on the same page as to what the history of the White Walkers and the Night King are. There's just not enough time to deal with a lot of the minor personal conflict that they've been teasing the first couple of episodes. So what's going to happen is there'll be more bonus videos next week. If there's a new promo, I'll do a video for it. The first episode is going to drop on Sunday. So if you're new to the channel, typically what I do is I'll do a bonus video Sunday morning, then I'll do my episode video Sunday night, then I'll do trailer videos and anything else that you guys request. But I am bringing Q&As back. I used to do more of those, but people tend to like them for the bigger shows, so Game of Thrones Q&As are here. But if there are any specific videos you guys want before the season starts, just leave them in the comments below. But in addition to Game of Thrones starting, there's a bunch of Comic-Con stuff that'll all be separate, so I'll do videos explaining what's going on with that throughout the week. But the weekly giveaways for the HBO Now subscription, so the latest giveaway winner, Antonio Dennison, please private message me on the back end of my channel so I can get your contact details. There'll be a new round the next time I post a Game of Thrones video. While you wait for everything, you can click here for my breakdown of the first 3 episode titles and descriptions, and you can click here for the other big trailer and promo videos. Thank you so much for watching. Everybody stay awesome. I'll see you guys tonight.